Crown Prince Hamdan's disgraced older brother, without question the most popular and among the more controversial of posts the author has dared to publish on this blog within the last year concerning the alleged private peccadilloes of Dubai's current Crown Prince. Many of this blog's subscribers who have read at times visceral reactions to that piece, both of random commentators and of the author responding to said commentators left below the post, are aware that Sheikh Hamdan isn't the only member of his family rumored to entertain a less than honorable by Middle Eastern standards private life behind closed doors. By far the member of the House of Al Maktoum with the worst reputation among their subjects is His Highness older brother, the virtually disinherited Prince Rashid, pictured topless in the above photo after what one presumes was a vigorous workout, a pastime that His Highness isn't only rumored to be obsessed with, but is alleged to have developed a steroid addiction in order to maintain. Sheikh Rashid is widely regarded as the royal family of Dubai's ultimate black sheep. His bad reputation was publicly solidified in 2008 when his father designated Rashid's little brother Hamdan as his heir apparent and effectively banned his firstborn son from public duties of any sort. One of the features of the Bedouin-originated monarchies of the Middle East that differentiate them from their counterparts in other regions of the world is none of them possess a clear delineated line of succession to their thrones. Part of their king's inherent prerogatives is to choose their successors regardless of heirs apparent's lineal relation to their sovereign. There certainly was never a guarantee that Prince Rashid, despite being Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum's eldest son, would one day inherit his father's throne. Certainly by the early 2000s, when it became obvious that the king had a preference for his London School of Economics educated and poetry writing second son and began calling upon him to take on more and more public duties within the emirate, Rashid's fate was all but sealed. This one leads one to wonder why His Highness, whose perpetrated social crime seems to be mundanely de rigueur for an Arab prince, which is definitely not a compliment, has fallen so far from grace in his father's eyes and the eyes of his father's subjects. The answer might be in the high priority Dubai's king places on his family's and kingdom's international image. The author recently caught up with several Emirati aristocrat friends who frequently travel in Middle Eastern royal circles, who reiterated to him over after dinner cocktails that their governments value their international reputations, particularly their favorable coverage by the Western media above all else, and will stop at nothing to maintain their status as the Monte Carlo of the Middle East. Since graduating from Sandhurst in the early 2000s, Sheikh Rashid has made it all too clear that maintaining appearances is just not a task for which he is capable. He was, after all, the first among his brothers to be rumored to be a drug and sex addict. The fact that gender of the majority of the escorts he purported to have frequented since his early 20s has remained unspecified by his expat countrymen has only further speculation regarding the nature of his sex life. His refusal to marry has also further the conjecture. Normally a well-known love of sports would serve as a means of deflecting doubts concerning an Arab prince's masculinity. Unfortunately for Rashid, the fact that the sports he prefers requires full body contact with other men as opposed to the more autonomic athletic pursuits favored by Crown Prince Hamdan have further raised private eyebrows. It's perhaps his love of maintaining an athletic physique and the rumored steroid addiction that resulted from it that was the root cause of most damning allegation yet made against His Highness, which supposedly resulted in his father finally deciding once and for all to settle the succession of Prince Hamdan and ban Rashid from every role playing in Dubai's government. According to Confidential 208 U.S. diplomatic cable authored by David Williams, the acting U.S. Consul General in Dubai at the time, entitled "Dubai Designates Crown Prince and Deputy Ruler," and subsequently published on WikiLeaks. It was widely rumored at the time that Hamdan was designated Crown Prince, that Rashid, perhaps in a steroid-induced rage, murdered an assistant in his father's office, which of the many offices of the king, the assistant was done away with in or whether or not the assistant worked for Rashid or his father, or even the gender of the assistant, and the circumstances of the alleged crime are all unspecified in the report. While an Arab prince murdering a servant is hardly a novel crime either in the Middle East or elsewhere, the public nature of this rumored incident and the fact that it would have been impossible to hide from Sheikh Mohammed's gossipy subjects, whose image of him as the ultimate benefactor he definitely values, certainly would have been enough to force the king's hand and prevent him from leaving his throne to his unstable older son. Since being removed from public life, Prince Rashid's struggle with drug addiction has become a matter of public record in Great Britain, according to a 2011 article published in The Telegraph and entitled Dubai Royal Family Aid Lifts Lid on UK Sex Secrets. Adil Muhammad Ali testified that Prince Rashid had visited at least one rehab clinic during a visit to Britain. It should be added, however, that the former servant stated in his wrongful termination lawsuit that every member of the House of Al Maktoum that he personally met, including Prince Rashid, seemed like nice, unpretentious people. Rashid's reputation in the private sector is hardly less brutish than his public standing. He's rumored to have taken possession of a racehorse in South Africa without having paid for it. His attempt at breeding racehorses also thus far yielded laughable results. Those among his blog readers who remembered its author's post several months back concerning the alleged private bisexuality and his own travails with drug use of Dubai's crown prince are probably wondering why Hamdan's reputation remains so favorable while his older brother has been dragged through the mud for having committed virtually the same vices. The author can provide no definite answer to this query, except to write that, for one thing, Hamdan's not suspected of having committed murder. Aside from that, Prince Hamdan, by all accounts, is intelligent, charming, and not without his share of personal charisma. In essence, he's a people person, and his father appears to be the first person he ever won over. Rashid, if anything, seems to be the polar opposite of his little brother. Their father's private favouring of Hamdan over Rashid lies at the crux of riddle, for it's the king who ultimately decides his individual children's public reputation, just like he decides virtually every other aspect of their lives. As long as Hamdan has his father's support, he can count on the full weight of Sheikh Mohammed's massive media resources protecting and filtering his every move in the public. If Rashid is indeed a murderer, then he certainly deserves to be punished far more than he has been. But once again, such a misdeed is common among Arab royals, and the author seriously doubts that this alleged act in or of itself explain the king's decision to internally exile his older son. In essence, the king probably doesn't trust Rashid and has no faith in his leadership ability. The bottom line is, it doesn't matter what Prince Rashid's countrymen think about him. All that matters in Dubai is what his father thinks, and that speaks volumes concerning the political reality of life within that particular desert kingdom.